Charles IV, King of Bohemia and Holy Roman Emperor, had a long and successful reign. The empire he ruled from Prague expanded, and his subjects lived in peace and prosperity.
Hey, Henry's come to see us.
Are you serious?
Greetings. What business have you?
Sir, this
What have you found?
I tracked down a gang
That's excellent.
so far.
You have to kill a...
That's not the worst of What should I do?
Don't kill him.
It doesn't sound...
Far from it, lad.
It seems like the only...
A bit of meditation. If it's really the...
Are you serious?
I'm honoured that a knight...
Let's have a word about the price.
Well, we could...
Is this enough?
Close. Aye, that would...
Implements, instruments, and
Henry?
I'm honored that you should come.
Good day to you.
Master Huntsman, is there any work for me here?
There's always something that needs doing. You're that Scarlet's lad, aren't you? Sir Radzig's lackey.
That'll be me.
Right. I saw you here shortly after the attack. My word, to get away from Talmberg like that, quite remarkable. It's clear you're not easily scared, so I do have a job for you.
I'm listening.
We've been having terrible problems with poachers lately. In Sir Divish's forests, we've been finding gutted entrails of deer and rabbit nooses all over the place, but no sign of the bastards who put them there.
And you want me to track down the poachers?
Indeed. Whatever you learn will be useful to me.
Do you suspect anyone?
Well, it's hard to say, but seeing how much harm they're causing, I'd say they're no crofters looking for a Sunday roast.
Shouldn't you be dealing with the poachers yourself?
I should, you're quite right. But when I ask the local folk anything, their mouths close up like clams. They're more scared of me than the devil.
Do you think the locals are in on it?
Well, I don't know, maybe. But even if not, they'll never talk to me. They're scared I'll dig some skeleton out of their cupboard. You know, the smaller the village, the bigger the secrets. That's why I need an outsider to ask for me.
I understand. I'll try to find out something about them. Any advice about where to start?
Certainly. Ask around the village. Somebody must have seen or heard something. And it wouldn't hurt to ask in the inn in the glade, the one on the road towards Neuhof. I've heard they serve good venison, and no shortage of it.
That's clear enough. As soon as I hear anything, I'll let you know.
Thanks for your help, lad.
Can you teach me to be a better archer?
Certainly.
I'd like to practice.
All right, but it'll cost. Now, pay close attention.
Looks like it's going to be a good year for the apples. I reckon we're in for a decent harvest. I'm not so sure about the vegetables, though.
Well, my carrot.
Good day to you.
I'd like to find out about the poachers round here who've been stealing game recently.
I don't know anything about that. But if it's gossip you're after, go and speak to Brada the tanner. He always spins a good yarn. You'll find him at the end of the village, the last house on the way to the quarry.
God save you. What can...
What do you think about all the poaching lately?
What should I be thinking? If they ever catch them, Sir Divish will have them skinned alive. But for that to happen, our master huntsman would have to be made of sterner stuff.
Do you think Nicholas isn't doing enough?
A master huntsman? who lets poachers run wild through his woods? He's useless. He couldn't even stop them hanging a stag's head on his own house.
Right. Thank you, innkeeper. I'll be going. How are the Talmberg folk?
Things here.
God save you, Henry. Welcome, Henry.
I hope I can be of help.
I'd like to find out about the poachers round.
What about them?
Well, I wondered if you've got any idea who might be doing it.
Tom of the Baths was mouthing off in the tavern. That's all I know.
Can we trade?
If you've got the coin.
Let's have a word about the price. Is this enough?
That's not enough. Aye, that would do it.
Henry, I'm glad you came.
God save you. What can...
I heard you've got a poaching...
In the woods and out of them. Not long back the bastards hung a deer's head on the huntsman's house.
That's pretty brazen of them.
Certainly is. Word around the village is that someone wants to shame him till he squirms.
Putting a deer's head on the huntsman's house sounds pretty risky. Why would anyone do that?
Maybe they want to show that Huntsman Nicholas is no match for them. And they're not wrong. He isn't the man he should be.
Do you think it was someone local?
I really don't know. All sorts of things get said. Hannikin Hare's back, if you listen to some, and others are going on about Tom of the Baths. They swear blind he's got his fingers in it.
And what about you?
It could be anyone. There's more than one that has it in for Nicholas. And who knows what the neighbors get up to by night.
What's so suspicious about this Thomas?
Just that he was drunk and blabbering about how he was going to bring back venison from the woods.
Tell me something about Hannikin Hare.
He used to be master huntsman here a while back. But then Nicholas got him accused of a murder, and the Hare had to flee. It cost him the huntsman's rank and Margaret, too.
What happened between Hare and Nicholas, anyway?
Those two didn't get on from the start. And then that business with Margaret really set them at each other's throats. But it all came to a head about 15 years back when Sir Henry of Lipa came to visit.
Sir Hanish's father?
Just so. There was a banquet at the castle in his honour, and in the morning they found one of Sir Henry's men-at-arms in the ditch with his neck broken. Well, Nicholas made sure the blame fell on Hannikin Hare.
So how did Nicholas put the blame on Hare?
Nicholas always had a viper's tongue, and events made it easy for him. That evening there'd been a right falling out between Hare and the guardsman. Blows were struck. Well, Sir Divish didn't want any ill will with Sir Henry, so he tried to settle things as quick as he could, and Hare got the short straw.
What was going on with Margaret?
Her father promised her to Hannikin, because they seemed a good match. But Nicholas couldn't stomach that, so he did what he did.
Done for the day?
Aye, thank God. My back's killing me.
I want to ask about something else. So why do people think Tom of the Baths is involved?
Ah, that's just nonsense. He was bragging in the tavern that he'd put on a venison feast for the village girls.
All of a sudden,
Deer for the deers.
Did he?
No. Was there much?
I doubt it. He's all mouth and no trousers. But if you want to know more, ask my husband, the innkeeper. I wasn't here that evening.
I reckon someone must be playing a trick on me and they were hiding in the bushes just to have a laugh.
That'll be all.
But not a soul
Thanks.
anywhere.
That's a piece of good fortune, then. We ought to celebrate.
By all means. The best of it is, that pair of idiots, Prokop and Hunter, were walking right ahead of me.
In the end, anyway. Aye, true enough. God's millstone will grind you down eventually.
Good day, Henry.
I've heard Tom of the Baths was mouthing off in here.
So he did. He and Jack Piper were bragging about how they'd make a feast for the village lasses, that there'd be venison roast and enough beer to fill a river. And a few days later, they did come and buy a few kegs of beer from me.
Did they have anything else to say?
Not really. I told him to shut up, or someone would hear him and there'd be trouble.
And what did he say to that?
Nothing. He had more booze in him than the castle cellar. He just hiccuped and slid under the table. Piper took him off after that, thank God.
Do you suppose he meant it?
Hardly. He's nothing but a braggart.
All right, I'd best ask him myself.
Well, feel free to ask, but don't believe half what he says.
And who is this Jake Piper?
Oh, he's Tom's best mate. A decent fellow. They call him the Piper because everywhere he goes he's whistling on that pipe of his.
Where can I find him?
Well, most likely in the quarry. He lends a hand there to make ends meet.
Folk were talking about Hannikin hair.
Oh, good Lord. People do like to prattle on. Don't you go believing a word they say. It's the back of beyond here, and they'll tell any tale to spice things up a bit.
Thank you, innkeeper. I'll be going.
God save you, Henry.
I'd like to find out about the poachers.
If I were you, I'd ask Thomas, the bath hand. Look where you're going.
It
came from over here.
God be with you, Henry.
Jesus!
I hope I can be of help to you, knight.
I heard you have poacher trouble.
Certainly do. They're running wild around here, and they kill a lot more than they take. Many a time I've seen a carcass just thrown in a ditch.
Why would someone just toss their catch in the woods? It doesn't make sense.
The wagging tongues say they're just doing it to spite the huntsman.
Do you have any idea who the poachers could be?
If I knew, the bastards would be strung up by now.
Don't tell me you've heard nothing at all.
Well, I did hear that Thomas, that fellow who works at the bathhouse, was mouthing off recently, saying he'd go and bag himself some game and lay on a right feast for the village girls.
I see. Has anyone seen those poachers with their own eyes?
No, just the dead game they leave behind. But Blacksmith's Betty saw some goings-on in the woods.
Goings-on? What's that supposed to mean?
Well, that's what she said, and I ain't one to pry.
Why would anyone want to take revenge on the huntsman?
He's not the best-liked man in the village. We all know that. And then there are those who say Hannikin Hare is back.
Who's Hannikin Hare?
You're not from around here, are you? The Hare's quite the Talmberg legend. He used to be master huntsman here once, but then he ran off.
Why did he run?
Well, it just so happens I know the answer to that. Some big important nobleman came to Talmberg around then, and they made a grand occasion of it. And in the midst of it all, Hare had a falling out with some man-at-arms and knocked him in the moat. The poor bugger broke his neck. They picked the Hare up, but before they could take him before the court, he vanished.
Why take revenge on Master Huntsman Nicholas?
Because of Nicholas's wife, Margaret. Hare had his eye on her back then, but she didn't care for him and he was fuming. Well, and after he disappeared, Nicholas got his post.
Where did he run to?
No one really knows. They say he's hiding in secret tunnels beneath the castle, but that's all fairy tales. It's been years. As I see it, he's underground all right, 6 feet down and cold.
I want to ask about something else. Thanks. That's all I need to know.
Welcome, Henry.
I've got a few questions about these poachers.
So ask.
I heard you saw something fishy in the forest.
That's right, I did.
Can you describe what you saw?
It was after dark, I remember that. I went up past the castle along by the clearing and I saw someone had lit a fire and there were figures singing and dancing and I could hear the whistling of a pipe. And I could smell roast meat. It was like a feast of some sort. Only I thought maybe it was some witch's Sabbath, so I was afraid to stay too long in case they saw me.
Did you recognise anyone there? Someone from the village, maybe?
No. Like I said, it was dark. All I could see was shadowy figures moving around.
Did you hear any familiar voices?
No. But I heard girls' laughter, goblets clinking, a piper playing. It sounded just like any feast.
Where is the clearing?
A short walk north of the castle. There's a track past the woodcutter's camp that takes you there.
Thanks. What do you make of this poaching that's been going on?
It's clear as day. Hannikin Hare's back. And putting those antlers on Nicholas's house? Well, we all know what that means, don't we? It's the sign of a cuckold, you mark my words.
You mean to say his wife's cheating on him?
All I'm saying is she might be feeling the urge. It happens in the best of families.
Well, you're the first who's certain of Hare's return. So far, I've just heard vague rumours.
Well, now, I wouldn't say I'm completely sure. I suppose some other mischief maker could have done it, but better the devil you know. And everyone hereabouts knows Hare.
You were singing a different song not long ago.
So? Why do you want to know so much, anyway?
It's nothing to you, but I'm helping Nicholas unmask that local poaching gang.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Well, now you know. And you also know not to keep anything from me. So, what's the story with that Hare?
All right, I'll tell you what I know. But promise not to tell Nicholas I said it.
I'll do what I can, but I need to let him know what I discover. So, out with it.
It's to do with Margaret, his wife. They say it's all because of her.
Keep going.
I know full well Hare's here, because Margaret admitted as much.
What did she tell you?
That he waited in the woods till she came by and they exchanged some words. Words was all she told me. Who knows what they actually got up to?
And what did they speak about?
I don't know, but if Nicholas knew they'd met, he'd most likely kill her.
You're sure she wasn't saying it in jest?
Oh no, Margaret wouldn't joke about something like that.
Who's this Hannikin Hare, anyway?
Hannikin Hare? There was a time he was master huntsman here, and Margaret was set to be his wife. But then he got himself accused of murder and fled before they could hang him. Margaret and his job both ended up going to Nicholas.
So what's the story between Hare and Margaret?
It was complicated. He wanted her and she wanted him too, I reckon. At least for a while. But then she hitched up with Nicholas and now she says she never had a thought of wedding Hannikin Hare.
So what went on between Hare and the huntsman?
Those two? There was no love lost between them from the moment Hare arrived. And then Margaret got involved. It was a messy business.
Do you think Hare really killed that man?
Who knows the truth of it now? I did find it all a bit odd. Hare never was much of a hothead. But then again, no one really knew him that well. And Margaret never wanted to speak of it. Wouldn't hear a word about it.
Well, you're the first who's certain.
Well, now.
Stop trying to wriggle out of it.
Not really.
But you know who Radzig Cobbler is, right?
Of course.
I'm his right-hand man, and I'm helping the huntsman catch the poachers. So, I'm not someone you should be messing around.
All right, I'll tell you what I know.
I'll do what I can, but I need to let...
It's to do with Margaret.
Keep going.
I know full well.
What did she tell?
That he waited...
And what did they speak?
I don't know.
You're sure she...
Oh, no.
That's all I need.
God be with you, Henry.
What are you doing there?
Good day to you.
I hear there's been trouble with poachers recently.
I don't have time to talk to strangers.
What are you doing here?
I'm here to find out about the poachers gang, and I need to ask a few questions.
Well, ask away. I don't have all day.
I heard you were yelling in the tavern that you were off to hunt some venison.
Look here. I don't know who you are, but you should watch your mouth.
I will, don't you worry. So what happened then?
What? Nothing. It was just the beer talking. I got pissed and started spouting shit. Didn't mean a word of it.
Maybe not. That remains to be seen. Blacksmith Betty saw people feasting in the woods, and she says there was a nice smell of venison. What do you know about it?
Nothing. I wasn't there.
And I don't suppose you'll tell me who was?
No, because I wasn't there.
That'll do me.
God save you, Henry.
I'd like to find out about the poacher's run.
If you ask me, there's some questions best left unanswered. But go and see Olener if you're determined. That old gossip will tell you all there is to know.
I heard there are poachers in the woods
Hey.
round here.
If only if it was just poachers. It's that sorcerer Hare. He's the one who's been running amok. I said he'd be back, and I said he'd be vengeful, and I was right both times.
Tell me something about Hannikin Hare.
Ah, that was all years ago. He turned up here one day, no one rightly knew where from. He claimed up at the castle to be a nobleman's son, and so he got the office of Master Huntsman, and Margaret was promised him for his wife. Nobody could have known he was a sorcerer.
And how did his sorcery reveal itself?
Well, he was able to vanish into thin air in the forest right in front of folk. And I've heard it said he spoke to animals, too, though I don't know the truth of it.
That doesn't sound very convincing to me.
That's because you've not seen his marksmanship. It wasn't natural, the things he could do with that bow of his. They say he sold his soul for the gift of it.
I see. How did it go with Margaret?
I'm not one to gossip, but she was a flighty lass in her younger years. She could never make up her mind which one she wanted, the Hare or Nicholas. So in the end, fate decided for her.
What do you mean? What happened with Hare?
Oh, that was quite something. And then some on top of it. Sir Henry of Lipo was visiting here at the castle, and Hare snapped his guardsman's neck
Henry's
with
come
his
to see us.
bare hands. Of course, they found him out. But how do you keep a sorcerer under lock and key? You can't. That's your answer. And that Satan's spawn slipped the net.
Oh well, it's quite a wild story. Any idea why he murdered the man?
No one knows, and most likely never will. But they say he was fully in the devil's power. There was a full moon, you see.
Was he actually seen killing the guardsman?
I suppose so. Else they'd hardly know who did it.
Good
would
day,
they?
Henry.
That's probably true. There is one other thing I want to ask. Has anyone actually seen this Hannikin Hare? He seems to exist only as a bogeyman to frighten naughty children.
Oh, he exists all right. But he flits around in the forest like a shadow. They won't be catching him any time soon. But Blacksmith's Betty heard some of their goings-on in the woods.
Goings on? What's that supposed to mean?
Cavorting and raising hell. Sorcery! Hare meets up with his sorcerer's apprentices, and they feast in the clearing in the woods. In the morning, they turn into ravens and scatter. Or so she says. But you'll have to ask Betty for more. Who knows what she saw? Or what she was doing there with them?
Very well. I'll ask. Who does Hare want revenge on?
Master Huntsman Nicholas, of course. When the hare disappeared, Nicholas took his Margaret and the huntsman's posting.
So Nicholas came out of it well?
That one always knew how to land on his feet.
Tell me something about Hannikin Hare.
Ah, that was all years ago. He turned up here one day. He claimed up at the...
Well, I should...
Not at all. I always...
I'm here to find out about...
Well, ask away.
I heard...
Look.
I will.
What?
Maybe not. That remains... That'll do me. I hear there's been trouble...
I don't have time to...
I'd like to find out about the poachers round here who've been stealing game recently.
If I were you, I'd ask Thomas, the bath hand. He was boast... God bless.
I'd like to ask you about Hannikin Hare.
I'm sorry, but I really don't want to talk about that.
The thing is, every time I spoke to someone about Hare, they always ended up talking about you.
But I don't.
You aren't to blame for anything, is that it? Well, I am willing to believe you, but you do know more than you're telling, and I need to hear it.
Very well. You're right. And what would you like to know about Hare?
How were things between you and Hare back then?
There was nothing between us. Hannikin Hare impressed my father with all his talk of noble blood. But I couldn't stand him, and I didn't want to marry him. And then it made no odds after he ran away.
So you didn't want him? I only asked because I've heard differently.
That's village talk. Of course folk gossip. Mostly they just want to hurt Nicholas.
Did Hare really commit the murder?
God in heaven, how should I know? Anyway, it doesn't matter now.
That remains to be seen. What did you talk about in the woods with Hannikin Hare?
I see Betty's mouth's been busy.
Don't blame her. I had to work hard to weasel it out of her. Now tell me.
Oh, all right. Well, it seems Hannikin Hare's exile has addled his brain. He told me he'd go off with me, that he still loves me and nonsense like that.
And what about you?
What do you mean? I was so shocked, I couldn't even scream.
Is that all he told you?
He said if I change my mind, I'm to hang a garland of forget-me-nots on the house and wait for him at that place of ours.
Where was it you saw him exactly?
I wish I could tell you. The whole thing was like a fever dream. I almost got lost trying to get out of the forest. Even if I remembered, it wouldn't be any use to you. Hannikin Hare moves through the forest like a ghost. He knows every tree root off by heart.
I want you to hang that garland on the lodge.
But I don't want to go anywhere with him.
You don't have to go anywhere. But tell me, where's that secret meeting place of yours?
On the way to Ujits. Back then, we used to meet by the great big beech tree, right next to the wayside shrine. There's a lovely view there, you see.
And what time will he be waiting there for you?
At dawn. What are you going to do to Hare?
Never you mind. The main thing is it will all get sorted out. And that's all that matters, isn't it?
I suppose so. Very well, then. I'll hang the garland for you.
That'll be everything.
Be a bit more careful.
I'm at your service, Sir Knight.
Did you send the last delivery of stone in smaller pieces?
No? Why would we do that? We all...
That's odd. They told me they were glad you got them smaller pieces so they had less work to dress it.
But that's not possible.
It seems the stone you sent never arrived and they got this instead.
Unthinkable. I delivered the last shipment myself because I wanted to exchange a few words with them, and nothing happened along the way.
Then someone must have replaced them on site.
But what would the builders have out of it? To replace it and then say we sent it?
I don't think the builders know what happened. Most likely it's someone else who has their fingers in this.
A thief? I must reward you for saving my livelihood. If folk believed the stories...
But the bad stone wasn't even from your quarry.
Still, sometimes words can hurt a man more than a blow from...
I was at the Egypt Women's Sabbath.
And how did it turn out?
The women were making such a ruckus. The woodcutters took them for witches and burst in on them. They meant to kill them.
Jesus Christ. And how did it end?
I killed them all.
Killed them? God Almighty. You killed the men who went to see what all the noise was about?
I didn't have much of a choice. There was no talking with them. They were determined to kill the witches. I'm so sorry.
Holy Mother of God, you're my witness I meant no harm. Forgive. And as for you,
Let's have a word about the...
well, we can... I'd almost shake... All right, so...
I'm guessing Nicholas won't be joining us. Who the devil are you?
My name is Henry, and I work for the Master Huntsman.
So are you going to arrest me?
I am.
All I ask is that you listen to me first.
Let me guess. You're going to tell me you're innocent.
I wouldn't presume. I've been poaching on the Divish estate, and I'll take the punishment I deserve. But the crime I was nearly strung up for, that one I didn't commit.
I've heard different things about your crime.
So I imagine. Lucas has told me the villagers still talk of me.
And how did it happen?
It's a long story.
I've got time to listen.
All right. But for you to understand, I have to start from the beginning. I was born as Hanakin Hare of Zalush, the eldest son of Sidney of Zalush. My house became sadly impoverished, and I became the master huntsman at Talmberg.
Gamekeeper turned poacher. I see. That's quite a transformation.
Nicholas gave me no choice.
What happened to your family?
My father lost his influential friends and the money with them. After his death, I inherited only his debts. There was nothing for it but to sell off all our possessions, see to my sister's welfare, and manage as best I could.
That sounds a rough deal.
Believe it or not, I never cared for the life of a nobleman. I spent my youth running free, hunting in the woods.
What happened between you and Nicholas?
I was falsely accused of murder. Henry of Lipa visited Talmberg, and the morning after the banquet in his honor, one of his men was found dead.
And didn't they have any cause to suspect you?
That's just it. They did. At the banquet, I got into a fight with the man.
I know Sir Hanish of Lipa. Was Sir Henry his father?
Indeed. He was on his way to Rattay to take charge of the fiefdom for young Sir Hans Capon.
Why did you get into a fight with him?
The fall of the House of Zalush was the work of the Lords of Lipa, and that fellow took great delight in reminding me of it.
And then what?
Nicholas began to pull strings. Several people came forward as witnesses to say they saw me with the fellow later that night.
Why would he have done that?
He wanted rid of me. We were both in love with the same lass, you see, and Margaret is his wife today. But back then there was no question which of the two of us would win her. I was the huntsman of noble blood, and Nicholas was just plain Nick. Her father's preference was clear.
Do you know who did kill the man?
No. He was found in a ditch with his neck broken. He could have tripped and fallen, all on his own.
And that never occurred to anyone?
It did. But some people swore they'd seen us jostling on the drawbridge. Of course, that was Nicholas's work.
What did Margaret think of you?
She took me for a fool. She only had eyes for Nicholas, but I didn't see it then. In the end, she could have saved me.
How?
She could have told the truth. After the banquet, I was with her. But when they asked her, she said she hadn't seen me that night.
How did you get out of it?
What leads you to imagine I did?
Your head's still on your shoulders, so you must have escaped somehow.
I'm alive. But my name and my family's name has been dragged through the mud. For me, that's worse than the sentence waiting for me.
If you say so. But you still managed to get away.
Well, it's true. I had the good fortune to escape from the dungeon.
From the Talmberg dungeon? That can't be done, can it?
It's not too hard when the lord of the castle himself helps you escape.
So Divish set you free? From his own dungeon?
He couldn't offend Henry, so he had to lock me up. But he trusted me. We were friends, after all. He led me out of the castle in the night. I was given a good horse, and in a couple of days I was in Silesia. And that was the end of it. At least until now.
This is one of the most insane stories I've heard lately.
That doesn't surprise me.
But something tells me you're speaking the truth, Anakin Hare.
Thank you. And if you want to help me, come to the old mine gallery in Broad Woods.
I'll be there.
I have a plan, but I need some help.
So, what are you up to?
Working out how to get Nicholas's confession.
And how would you do that exactly?
Simple. I'll have him sign it. I've had the priest in Janowitz write me up a parchment. When Nicholas signs it, he'll admit to everything written down there.
How do you want to force him to do that?
He won't have a choice, or rather he will have, between his wife Margaret and the job of huntsman.
I'm not following this at all.
It's plain enough. We'll kidnap Margaret. That's to say, you'll kidnap Margaret while I distract Nicholas. If he wants to see her again, he won't have any choice.
Kidnapping? That doesn't seem like much of a way to clear your name.
No. Take a look around you, Henry. Sigismund kidnapped Wenceslas, his own brother. And Divish was abducted by Medek of Waldeck.
True, but Sigismund and Medek kidnapped the men they wanted to bargain with. You're thinking of taking a man's wife who's done nothing to deserve it.
And what of it? Those others did it for money or power. I'm doing it to redeem my honor. And since you mentioned Margaret, she's not all that innocent. I could have swung because of her.
But that confession's just a scrap of parchment with writing on it. What will happen to him after that?
That scrap of parchment is for Sir Divish and the provincial court. But we'll be generous to Nicholas and let him leave in peace before we deliver the confession to Taumberg.
So Nicholas will go free and you'll clear your name?
Hopefully.
So what do I need to do?
I had Nicholas's prized hunting horn liberated. I'm sure Nicholas will recognize its sound from quite far off. I'll lure him out of the lodge at dawn.
And I meant to kidnap his wife while he's gone?
Of course it would be best if she went with you voluntarily, but if not, you'll just have to drag her with you.
I don't know. What if there's trouble?
That's why I'm sending you. I trust you. But whatever happens, Margaret mustn't be hurt. When you get her, bring her here. Then we can decide what's next.
All right.
Don't forget, tomorrow at dawn. Good work, Henry. Now we have to act fast and sort out Nicholas. Are you all right?
I don't think about it much. What next?
Take this confession. Go to Nicholas and make him sign it before you tell him where Margaret is.
And what if he refuses?
You'll have to make him, one way or another.
I'm not complaining, but couldn't you go to him yourself?
Believe me, I'd rather not drag you into it at all. But if Nicholas sees me, he'll go straight for my throat before I get a word in. The only way to avoid bloodshed is if you go.
I see. Yes, you're probably right. And what if he attacks me?
Then of course you'll have to defend yourself. If you knock some sense into him in a duel, all well and good, but don't forget we need him alive. So keep a cool head.
All right. Let's hope it doesn't come to that. I'll get to it.
Here's the document. Don't forget to tell him he should get the hell out of Talmberg before we take it to the castle.
Where would I find you?
I'll wait for you in the clearing. Be quick. I don't want to keep poor Margaret here any longer than necessary.
I understand.
I'm at your service, Sir Knight. Have you seen my wife, Margaret? I'm sure something...
Yes, I've seen her.
Speak, where is she?
Hannikin Hare is holding her captive.
How do you know that?
It makes no odds. Just listen to me.
What, you whoreson? Tell me where she is right now, or you'll rue the day.
You bluster all you want, but if you ever want to see Margaret again, you better get a grip on yourself.
Where is she? Tell me!
Yeah, you scratch my back, and I'll scratch yours. Sign this parchment here, and I'll tell you what you want to know.
I, Nicholas Angel, do hereby confess... Conspiracy against Sir Hannikin Hare... Just in proper punishment... What? You must be out of your fucking mind. Never.
Sign it if you cherish Margaret's life. I can't vouch for what Hare might do.
Hare's bluffing. He'd never harm Margaret.
I wouldn't be so sure. If you take a man's sweetheart, his home and his job, and leave him in the shadow of the gallows, you can't expect much mercy from him.
There. Now tell me where my wife is.
There's an old mine gallery, a little to the south of here. Margaret is in there, alive and well.
I certainly hope so.
So, have you got it?
It's done. He signed it.
Voluntarily?
Yes. More or less.
Well, I'm glad it's been done without bloodshed.
And what now? Will you take the confession to Talmberg?
We'll go together. I need you to bear witness. I've been gone for years, and I'm not sure they'll take my word for anything.
Well, I hope they do believe you. Otherwise, we're both for the noose.
Don't worry. Divish won't forget our former friendship so easily. We'll wait until morning and then set off.
Right.
Welcome, Henry.
Good day, Henry.
Henry, I'm glad you stopped by. God save. Can I help?
How did you enjoy the race, my lady?
I had no idea you were so talented. Your sweetheart must be the happiest woman alive.
My lady, you see...
Come and see me sometime, Henry. We really need to have a proper talk.
hell are you doing? The Lord be praised. Henry, I heard from the monastery that they'll keep buying our stone.
What are you after here, you fucker? I can see you're not from around here, and we've...
I'd like to buy a...
I'm glad to hear it. Have you looked them over?
Not yet.
Then go and have a look in the stables.
I'd like to buy a horse.
I'm glad to hear it. Have you looked them over?
I have.
The best there are. Is there one in particular? A wonderful Arab stallion. Heavenly. When you look into those eyes...
Surely you'll knock something off the price if I trade in my old one. I'll take that one.
May the Lord watch you.
Will you shut up, you idiot?
My respects to you.
I got fucking everything.
Wonderful. Come with me.
What's taking them so long?
I really don't know.
Ready? Great. Now put it on.
Well, definitely an improvement.
That's good.
That's really fucking good.
You don't think it's too much?
It's perfect. If I met you at night, I'd shit myself.
That's exactly what humans look like.
Says the man who's never seen one.
Well, I mean, that's exactly what people think humans look like.
It's not too bad. It's not too bad at all.
We're only just getting started.
Here, just as you ordered.
Good day to you.
I'd like you to teach me how...
Certainly.
Here, enjoy it.
I'm interested in more...
Wouldn't you rather learn the basics?
Well... I was wondering... Did we...
No, you got less.
Well...
Certainly, I'll fetch it
Have
right
you
away.
heard about anything interesting going on lately?
Yeah, give me a minute.
Just some talk about lost sheep and indecent wenches.
Coming right
Of course I
up.
care about it. Sheeps and wenches are my thing.
That's over and done with.
The wenches?
The sheep.
Well, we'd better get back to work.
I don't really have anything specific right now, but I did hear about something interesting from one of your neighbours.
Who?
I don't know his name, but it was about as old as you. He said his family owned the Scallots Tavern.
Young Adam, then. And the interesting part?
He decided he wanted to go back home, see the damage and so on. And someone looted it right in front of his nose.
I know. I've met those scavengers before. It's not that interesting, just sad, really.
Well, it certainly isn't Christian. But the thing is, they were hiding money in that cellar of theirs.
I wouldn't count on it. The looters probably spent all of it by now if he crawled into the right tavern. And anyway, I'm sure they didn't exactly have the royal treasure hidden there.
This Adam said it was enough to fix a
Here,
whole
just as you
cottage.
ordered.
Or to go exploring the world.
Alright, but it still seems shady. And you haven't really given me much to go on.
Maybe. But I don't have anything better. Why don't you find him and ask him and see where it leads you?
And did he say where he was going?
He said he's going to Ratai, that he has some arrangements there.
It won't be easy to find him. Ratai's a little overcrowded nowadays.
Then you'll have to ask someone, won't you? Bloody hell. Do you want me to hold your hand while you do it?
I'll be on my way then.
Go. Go. And ask him when you see him.
My respects to you, sir.
Do you know if there's anyone...
Huh? I still think that what they did to Herman isn't right.
For once.
I'll have a beer.
Did I tell you about my last night's No, I didn't know.
She only started.
Did you find out what actually...
Folks say it was an account of our silver and how... God bless.
Be merciful. What am I to do? A poor wretch whose home was burned to ashes.
Why
by
are you
Satan's
waking?
sword.
Go away.
For the love of God, I've come from Skalitz, and all I ask of you is a crust of bread. A grog.
Hey, Henry's come to see us.
Jesus Christ be praised.
Do you know where I can find the young innkeeper?
Adam? He's either tottering around the tavern or hanging around the horses. You know him?
Yes. Thank you.
Poor wretch whose home was burned to ashes by
Henry, I'm glad you came.
I'm at your service, Sir Knight.
How does life in Rattay suit you?
It'd be fine if we didn't have to sleep in hovels and beg for alms. And the bailiff is always on our backs, the bastard. But what can we do? We've got nowhere else to go.
Did you find out what actually happened?
What do I know? The lords are at each other's throats, but it's us that has to suffer for it.
You went to Skalitz on your own, didn't you? That took guts.
Not really. It took me a while before I could work up the courage.
That was sensible of you. I went back straight away, and I almost got killed.
I know. I heard. That's part of the reason I was so nervous.
And how did it go? Did you do everything you wanted?
There wasn't anything to do. Someone already did it before me. I wasn't even able to catch that thieving bastard.
What thief?
Some shady-looking character. Whole face smeared with soot. He shot out of the basement as soon as I went by and ran away with his loot. I got such a scare. I didn't think about running after him, and he stole absolutely everything, even our new kettle.
What did he look like?
I didn't get a good look at him. He was covered in soot, and his sack of loot was so full he had the kettle tied to it on the outside. It was gleaming.
A sooty man, a big sack and a new kettle. Of course he could clean himself up and throw away the sack. Maybe it was a devil. Or a charcoal burner.
You know, it really could have been a charcoal burner. That sack definitely looked like a charcoal burner's sack, and there are a lot of those around Rovna, so he wouldn't have far to go.
What was it he took from your place?
I don't know. My father told me never to talk about it.
What harm is there in telling me now? I can't steal it. Someone got there before me.
That's true. My father hid some money and valuables there. There was a jeweled cross he wanted to give Bianca as a dowry.
What did the cross look like?
Why do you ask?
Well, if I saw it somewhere...
What? You want to look for it?
Well, like I said, if I see it or hear something about it, we'll see.
That would be so kind. I've nothing left. If I had that cross, at least I'd have something to remember them all by. The cross itself was silver, and it had a small red ruby in the middle, like a heart, and it was hanging on a red string.
And did you tell the catchpoles about it?
I did. Alex asked me what happened and then sent me straight to them.
And what happened?
They said they were sorry, but they don't have anyone who could search all the houses looking for a kettle. So they told me if I don't know who it was, then there's nothing they can do.
Good day to you.
Have you been to Skalitz lately?
What would I be doing there? Everything burnt down.
Someone saw a charcoal burner rooting around there.
And how does anyone know it was a charcoal burner? I'd like to know.
Well, they said he had a charcoal sack and...
Sacks aren't hard to come by. Especially around Skalitz. Anyone could have one.
Including the guilty man.
Or maybe it wasn't me, and you're looking for someone else.
If you don't confess right now, you'll be eating ash too. They saw a man with this sack, and I don't have a problem beating it out of you.
Look, I really wasn't there. Even if you beat me, or let them take me away in chains, I'm still not the person you're looking for.
Fine then. But if anyone catches you trying to loot Skalitz...
They won't. I've never done it before, so I'm not going to start now.
This one is old and scuffed. This one has its best years behind it.
Good health to you.
Have you been to Skalitz lately?
Skalitz? I thought that place burned down to the ground. What would I be doing there?
Someone there saw a charcoal burner rooting through the burned out buildings.
Well, if you know who it was, then why'd you come to me?
I don't know who it was, just that it was a charcoal burner.
And how do you know that? Because he was grubby from ash in the middle of a town full of ash?
No, because he had a charcoal burner's sack.
And that's your evidence? Anyone can get that. There's plenty lying around the forge, and there's a lot of people wandering around there.
Trying to throw the blame on someone else, are you? Forget it. You're gonna get what's coming to you, you thieving bastard.
No, I don't know who did it, but it wasn't me. I'm innocent, I swear.
If you only stop lying, I can see it in your eyes. You did something, and I'll get it out of you.
Please, no, I didn't do anything. I just found it. It must have fallen from someone else's sack, but I wasn't in Scully's and I didn't loot anything.
A likely story. Though, if you had a sudden attack of conscience and gave it to me, I might just believe you didn't do anything wrong.
Here it is. Everything I have. Take it and leave me be. I didn't do anything wrong.
A completely new kettle. Could it be the one stolen from Scallett's?
Good day to you. What do you need?
Ah, you got a nice new kettle.
Yeah. It cost me a groschen or two.
Like hell it did. That cost you nothing but a bit of sneaking around.
What are you trying to say?
You robbed a man's home in Scallett's. He saw you. And they'll hang you for that.
All right. All right. Fuck. Yes, I took it. It didn't belong to anyone anymore, so what did it matter?
It did belong to someone, Charcoal Burner. It belonged to a boy who came back to look for his dead family's savings and didn't find anything. So?
I'm sorry about that. Take it then and give it to him. I hid it behind the cottage in the rotting tree.
I'll forgive you this time, but God save you if you try anything like this ever again. A completely new kettle. Could it be the one stolen from Scallett's?
Why are you waking me? Go away. Good day to you. What do you...
Yeah.
Like...
What are you trying...
You robbed a...
I'm...
I'm at your service, sir.
Guess who I ran into? A man covered in ash and in possession of a new kettle.
Truly? And how did it go?
I got something out of him. I think he might have spent some on booze.
It's not all of it, but that doesn't matter. I'm grateful for even this much. What do I owe you?
I don't want anything. I'm glad to do a favour for a neighbour.
That's so generous of you, Henry. I'm very grateful. If you ever need anything,
I'll remember it.
Be a bit more careful.
I'd like to make you...
Uh-huh. And...
get myself fixed up.
I'm sure you'll be extreme...
Here you are, and good health.
God be with you.
As you wish.
Are you Carl, by...
I am.
I've heard that you're bound for the
Yes. Yes, it's true. But I've convinced my faithful guardian,
My name is Henry.
Certainly.
Pleased to
I'll
meet
put
you.
right away.
What if I entered?
I would give you your weight in gold, if I had any. But Manfred there, if you help me get rid of him...
He's been listening.
So what? Listen, friend, let's raise a glass. Please, get rid... Pull me an ale.
What are...
look where you're going.
I'll be back in 2 shakes.
I hope I can be of help to you.
You're Manfred.
Indeed I am.
I've been looking for you two for quite some...
So?
You must have a mighty...
There's no doubt I'd enjoy...
So let's drink together.
I can see you.
My pleasure. I'll be back. Coming. There. Satisfied?
That'll do.
Here. Enjoy it.
Let me have some grub, whatever's quick.
Here you are. And good health.
Bottom women, God bless them. Any chance of a bite to eat?
Pull me one.
That's it. That's it. I don't believe it.
I'd like a beer.
One ale over here, please.
Coming right up.
That's it.
Here.
This'll be the one.
Here. Enjoy it. There. Satisfied?
That'll do me.
I'll bring it right away. Here. All right.
We'll see. Oh no!
Over here. I'd like to order. I'd like a beer.
Should I? Shouldn't I? No, I didn't.
Here.
One beer.
I shouldn't have pushed it.
Here you are.
What's the hold up there?
Coming.
One.
Pull me an ale.
What?
You see that old man sitting at the table with the young lord? He said something about your mother. I think whore was the word he used.
What? He's not getting away with that! Oi, old man, what did you say about my mother?
Pardon me?
I said, what did you say about my dear old ma?
If she's as repulsive as you, I have no reason to speak of her.
Certainly. I'll
now
fetch
leave
it
me
right
alone
away.
before I put you in your place.
Put me in my
Here,
place?
enjoy it.
I'd like to see you try. I gotta smash your face in, old man.
Here.
I'll bring it right
How
away.
about a bit of grub?
Here you are.
Manfred's taken care of, just as you wanted.
Thank God. He won't let me out of his sight for a second, and he's itching to get me in the monastery so he can head back home.
Why are you being sent to the monastery?
Like every lusty young lad, I'm fond of fair maidens, but I got too fond of one, and let's just say she was, indisposed for 9 months.
But they don't send you to the monastery for that.
They do, when it's the daughter of the Lord of your feet.
Shit.
Shit is putting it mildly. The Lord of Bukovo was less than pleased. He knows he'll never marry off his daughter now, so he gave father a choice. Either pay him 1,000 groschen in compensation, along with my balls on a silver platter, or pay 1,000 groschen and put me away somewhere no one will ever see me again.
Why does your guardian never leave your side?
So I don't run away. Of course, I'm free to walk around, but he watches every step I take and won't stop until I'm behind the monastery walls.
Well, he's not watching you now.
What good is that to me when he has all the money, and even my saddle and riding cloak under lock and key?
A tankard of ale for me.
Why don't you just run away?
Bare-arsed. What the hell would I do? I don't know how to work, I have no money, and that old bastard's even taken my cloak. He has me in the palm of his hand.
But there are poor people everywhere and they get by somehow.
If I have to choose between hunger and poverty on one hand and the monastic life on the other, I'm afraid the monastery wins.
Here. Just as you ordered.
Only steal that old man's pouch.
Don't know who's yet. Any volunteers?
What if I entered the monastery?
What? Voluntarily? You don't look like someone who'd... You could only enter the monastery if you know how to read and write, and if you have a special writ from the abbot. That's a letter.
So you give me your writ? I'll just tell...
Manfred has the writ. You'd have to take it from him, but he only puts it down.
So I'll steal it and then you can disappear.
Disappear? Bare-arsed. What the hell would I do? I don't know how to work, I have no money, and that old bastard's...
But there are poor people everywhere and they get by somehow.
If I have to choose between hunger and poverty on one hand and the monastic life on the other, I'm afraid the...
That's all then.